Hello, today we're going to be reading Chapter 5, Survived Grade 11. When I was a part of the girls group back in 2011 and 2012, we went on different trips and hung out at school sometimes when the group would get together. I could be wrong though. My memories weren't always accurate with dates. The group could have gotten together in 2009, 2010, 2011, maybe 2012, and I wasn't always a part of the group either. On January 11, 2011, we went on a trip to a pet store and aquarium, and we got to see a litter of kittens, birds, little creatures, maybe hamsters, rabbits, as well as a bunch of different animals, all sorts of fish and water animals. Another trip we went on was on October 20th, 2012 for Take Back the Night at City Hall in downtown Hamilton. We met up at the school before we went to City Hall, where we marched with tons of different people to end hate, violence, and other things like that. After the march, we looked around at the different vendors there as well. I couldn't believe how much hate and violence there is in this world, and it makes me sad. We also went on a trip to visit the True Hamiltonian store that was located on Ottawa Street North at the time in 2013, I think. I remember we were talking to the co-founder, Mr. F, and he was very kind to us. I also remember we were given winter hats and there was something written on them. I think all the hats said True Hamiltonian or Hamilton is Home, and my hat was pink. I truly don't remember now though, and I think my sister Elizabeth had taken that hat from me. It was cool to see this new store in person, and I was so proud of our city at that time too. I am so proud to see how far the True Hamiltonian store has come since it was founded. When I was a part of the girls group called Triple E Group, I didn't feel like I belonged there because my boys were in that group at that time. One day I didn't go back, but I do think Elizabeth stayed, but I could be wrong. We did other things in the group too, but I don't really remember much of what we did and where we went in that group. However, we did perform in one of my early years in the school's talent show. I don't remember what we did, to be honest. I just know we were in the show because I saw my name in the program. I also remember that we were given gift cards by generous donors. And I think we were at a mall in Stony Creek, I believe. But I could have been wrong. I just remember us being given gift cards to use at whatever store we wanted to shop at in the mall that winter. In 2011, in Mr. Anderson's math class, I told him that I met Charlie Forrest in September 2011. This was during the Canadian Country Music Fan Fest. I said that he was nice to me when we met, even though he was in a rush. I don't even remember getting his autograph. Charlie went to see every fan to sign an autograph and or get a picture with his fans. I told Mr. Anderson I was happy to meet him and get a picture with him. That's what I adore about Charlie, is how kind and sweet he is, even when he's in a rush. Charlie had another concert or something he needed to go to. Mr. Anderson told me he liked Charlie's music when I mentioned the singer in class. Mr. Anderson used to play music from different music stations for us when we were working on our work in math class. And the music would be playing on the projector in the front of the classroom where we could see what song was playing and who was singing. Sometimes he would put on country music, and other times pop and rock music was also played too. Music brings more connections to us than we think, and music is very calming, depending on who you're listening to and what the genre is. Music heals in a way that words cannot express. For me, music is a big part of my life, especially during the years of 2013 and 2014. Let's just say if music didn't exist, suicide would have been an option for me. As crazy as that sounds, it's true. Music saved me. Music healed me in a way that I can never ever explain without crying or looking back on the past events that caused my depression, sadness, and wanting to commit suicide in the first place. And before class would start, Mr. Anderson would make us put our cell phones and other electronic devices into this box that he would keep at his desk. So that way, we wouldn't get distracted or cheat on our math work. And one time I didn't put my iPod in the box and he called me out in front of the entire class because he saw me using it. And then I had to put it in the box too. During lunch in 2011, Lynette wanted to punch me in the face, but Della didn't want her to, and I don't even remember why she wanted to do that to me. I honestly thought she was my friend. So apparently, what happened is that Lynette punched Della in the face instead when they went to the pizza store. Lynette asked me to go, but I said, no, how about you take Della? So Della went, they fought, neither of them won. Della never told me this, but Darren told me a few years later in 2013. Although he thinks that she could be making up stories. Maybe they are both making up stories. This isn't surprising to me at all. One day in 2011, Principal Gates came into the cafeteria during lunchtime and said something to the students. Someone told him to shut up. And he looked my way. I just looked at him with no expression on my face, and Annabelle accused me of telling him to shut up once again. Maybe I should have told him to shut up. I told her it wasn't me who said that, but she kept going on and on about it. Anyway, but I would have loved the opportunity to have been brave enough to tell him to shut up. And by the time that opportunity came around, I didn't even think about it anymore. One day in 2011, I was walking down the third floor hallway. daydreaming. Soon a teacher walked over to me and started talking. Out of the blue, I asked him, "What is your name?" He said, "Mr. Turtsicle." He was teaching history that year. He was also teaching driver's ed, English, in the Ontario Secondary School Literacy course. I kept smiling at him, and I loved his stories, especially when he told his classes about his fishing trips. That's what I liked most about Mr. Turtsicle. I would smile every time he would put his hands on his stomach to rock back and forth. I also liked it when he would sing "Bird is the Word" in his classes and down the hallway. He would always answer when someone would say, "Oh my God." He would say yes. That was so annoying when he would answer to that. But you also know when he was in the building, as you could hear his keys hitting his chest as he would walk down the hallway. And no matter how far away he was from my eyesight, he could even be out of sight, I could still hear the rattling of those keys. And to this day, sometimes I can still hear the sound of those keys when I reread this novel or look at the 3 yearbooks on days when I miss the school. So that whenever I feel sad about Panthers United being gone, I can always look at my school yearbooks and remember the memories that were made there. Except one of those yearbooks doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Louis. In history class, I took the course with Louis, and both of us were in Mr. Turtsicle's class one day on a Thursday. I was talking to Louis and got mad at Mr. Turtsicle for probably the dumbest reason ever. He said, "Do your work." I said, "Are you blind? I am doing my work." He said, "Are you stupid?" I didn't like that at all, so I called him a bad name. He said, "Call me that again." And with my smart mouth remarks, I did. He then threw my binder at the classroom door and yelled at me to get out. And I don't even remember what I called him. I then picked up my binder. He said, "Don't come back until you are willing to cooperate in my class." I said to him, "Fudge off." I slammed the door and didn't even go back to class the next day. Now that I think about it, I think this is what he meant when he said I was a straightforward person, speaking my mind and not caring about the consequences. My memory faded very fast, and I did not remember taking the course with my brother that year. Another day in history class, Louis and I were in the library with the other students, and I was on Scotland League's website. Mr. Turtsicle walked over and closed every website I was on because I wasn't working on the project he gave us in that class. I asked what was that for, and all he said was, "Come into the hallway." We went into the hallway, and he asked me what's going on. I told him, "This student is bullying me." He talked to that student after I told him who it was, and she got suspended, or at least that's what he told me. I went back into the library and worked on my history assignment for the rest of the class because he helped me with that bully, and what he said made me feel better. One day in history class, some of the history students who signed up to go to an event at the Winterberry Adventure College's theater had gone there for a field trip to learn more about the Holocaust, to learn more about the stories and the horrors that were made there. But before we left to go to the college, we were all in Mr. Turtsicle's classroom being told the rules and what would be going on that day and so on. And after that, we went to the college. I believe we took a city bus up there. Anyway, as the event was getting ready to wrap up, an argument or a fight broke out in the auditorium, and our school got the blame for starting the fight or something like that. I don't really remember much about that day, but we got into trouble for something we didn't do. Our school always got the blame for things we didn't do because in their eyes we weren't a good enough school. And as I mentioned before, we were called and known as the dumb school, the dumb kids school. But I can tell you none of us are dumb, that's for sure. And those schools never took responsibility for their actions. "What's the smallest bone in your body?" Mr. Mike asked me, so I pointed to my ears instead of answering him, and he said that I was right. I was surprised when he told me I was right. But I also just made a random guess and didn't think my answer would be right. And then Mr. Turtsicle walked into the library, and he seemed surprised I even knew the answer. He even seemed like he was quite proud of me too. This was in grade 11. Mr. Mike also talked about classical music. Beethoven and Mozart were mentioned a lot. I think that's how I came to know them through Mr. Mike. Well, technically, I knew about them before, but never really paid much attention to them or their music when I was younger, because I didn't feel the same way about them as I do now. To be honest, as dumb as this sounds, I always thought they were the same person, or at least twins, and I would always get them mixed up with each other. One day in 2017, or after that, out of the blue, I showed a picture I had taken of one of the classical composer's portraits hanging in one of the hallways near the music rooms at the Hamilton Conservatory for the Arts and asked, "Is this Mozart?" And the artistic director looked at me funny, like, "Who are you talking about, girl? How do you not know who this is, or how can you not tell the difference between Beethoven and Mozart? Like, what's wrong with you, kid?" He always said, well, he didn't say any of this stuff, but I think he may have also been confused or was surprised I could not tell the immediate difference between the two composers or something like that. I knew it was Beethoven, but wasn't entirely sure. That's not Mozart, love, that's Beethoven. He didn't say this either. but I believe he eventually responded and said that's Beethoven. I can definitely see them being the same person or being twins in one of my stories in a different novel, and I can fully explain why I thought they were the same person or at least twins. They looked like the same person to me. One time, Bethany and Elizabeth were skipping school one day to come to my school with little Ava. They were walking down the sidewalk as Ava was in the stroller while they were at the school. Ava was drinking soda pop too, and Bethany threatened to beat up Shirley if she didn't stop bullying me. Then Principal Gates walked out of the school, telling Bethany to never come back to the school. As Shirley never bullied or bothered me after that. Too bad Bethany didn't go after all the other losers who bullied me. I'm thankful my sister helped me with this bully. I think there was a few students fighting at the time, and a few of the students told my sisters to take Ava away from there. We did go to Canada's Fantasy in June of 2011 as well. I remember going on different rides, and one of the rides with the swings going around in circles was my favorite. We went into the arcade and won some tickets to get prizes. Elizabeth, Alexandra, and I hung out together on this trip. I don't recall if Della went though. But I do remember that Dana was bullying us there, and she would never leave us alone, even when we were at any of the proms. I was also wearing devil thorns before we left to go back to the school, and Mr. Anderson commented on it, calling me trouble, or something like that. And on the bus ride home, I remember one of the students putting a Pikachu stuffed toy on my head while teasing me, but I don't remember why he was teasing me, and my face did go red. It was a fun day other than Dana bullying us, but we didn't let that stop us from having fun. Even looking her way was a problem, and she would purposely find a way to start fighting with us, especially me, even if we didn't do anything to her. On January 12, 2012, I mentioned this on my networking book. The bullies at my school have got saying bad things behind Alexandra's back. Do you even know what those words mean? Like grow up bullies. If you have something to say it to her face. Alexandra said, that's what I would say. And I think you're talking to the people that can't say it to my face. Thanks, Victoria. You're my best friend and always will be. Then Matt, my cousin, says, go tell him, Victoria. You'll win, and I know it too. On February 7, 2012, a band named Something You Whisper played music and sang at our school from the Live Different tour, and it was amazing. They were so kind to us, and I got all the band members' autographs and a picture with them with a few of my friends, and they were so happy I was a fan. We hung out at lunchtime in the cafeteria when they came in to meet us. I believe that I was the only one who asked for their autographs, while Janice and Cara and I paid attention to them being at the school that day, but the other students didn't express any interest in them before the assembly. Some of my friends thought it was weird, but Janice and Cara didn't. It was cool to have stars at our school. I loved the concert they put on for the school and to let us know that bullying wasn't okay, but some students continued to bully anyway. Even after hearing sad stories of being bullied, and suicide was also mentioned and stuff like that. I have always loved getting autographs, and it didn't matter whose autographs I got because they all mean something to me. I have always loved meeting people. The autographs are a bonus, something I can cherish for the rest of my life. I can always look back at the photos that were taken as well to remember that I attended some great shows, went to different cool events and other stuff like that, and be happy and grateful that I got to meet so many wonderful people along the way. On March 2nd, 2012, I said to myself, great, looks like I'm a loser because I have no friends, and they are all mad at me. So I ate by myself that day. At lunch, Alcatraz Cooper invited me to sit with him and his friends. I kindly said, no thanks. He said, you don't know what you're missing. I said, that's fine. I went outside and sat on the grass leaning against the school building. I was watching a few students on skateboards make fools of themselves. It was a joy to watch. I was taking pictures of the Memorial Road Stadium. Then I saw Mr. Tursicle walking back from Donald Land McChuckles with a student. I was upset that the teachers I had classes with one semester stopped talking to me. It felt like I didn't exist in Panthers United anymore. Then again, I didn't understand why they were not talking to me. I did exist. They just had to deal with other students too. It was me that stopped talking to them. I was tempted to switch schools due to many reasons. Whether I had switched schools or not, the problems would still have followed me. I also considered homeschooling. Then, on that day, on my networking book, Mom's friend Chloe Karras said to me, people get all different kinds of teenage cliques in school. Just look at yourself as being the type of person who is too good to have their company. School's about learning. Who cares about fitting in? Mrs. Weinstein would be teaching English in April 2012 that semester. One day, Principal Gates came to visit, and she asked us questions. The questions were on the blackboard. By the time the teacher called for me to answer a question, I knew the answer to one of the questions, but I accidentally gave her the wrong answer to that question. I answered the next question. She didn't even ask yet. I don't even think anyone noticed, but I think she did. Miss Weinstein would also take her students in that class out for ice cream or a snack at Donald Land McChuckles. Sometimes we'd go and walk to the one on Barton Street East, and a few times we would go and walk to the one on King Street East. A few times she had given my best friend and I trouble just because we didn't want her to spend too much money on us. She would say to us, "What was the point of going to Donald Land McChuckles if all you two ordered were sodas?" She asked us this because the other students spent a little bit more of her money than we did. I just wasn't used to her spending her own money on us when half of us probably didn't even deserve that. And I just wasn't used to teachers doing that for us. And maybe we only wanted to go for the walk just to get away from the school. One time during Miss Weinstein's class, we went for a walk to Beautify Land Park. We came across a beautiful garden and picked out a few roses to bring back to the school. I'm quite sure they were given to Principal Gates. I picked one, but never gave it to him. I don't remember what happened to it, though. Remember when I told you that some of the staff made a big deal about me telling another student that the principal was cute? Well, Miss Weinstein was one of them. And she wanted me to give the principal the roses, and I simply refused. I despised this person. Like, he thought that I had feelings for him. Ew. Just because I say someone is cute doesn't mean I have feelings or a crush on them. Get over yourself, Principal Gates. Another time during Miss Weinstein's English class, we went to the community baseball park. We all sat on the grass, and she was asking us individually, "Why are you in school? Why were we there for?" And I said, "Because I made a promise to stay in school." And another sarcastic student named Madison Grant replied, "Because we are here to learn." And the way she said it annoyed me for some reason. Like, her tone of voice was like, "You should have known that." And that was the right answer that our teacher was looking for. The look she gave me after I responded was like, "We are here to learn, dummy." The way she spoke to me was very irritating. Like, I know we are in school to learn and stuff like that. Another time in Miss Weinstein's class, I remember a few other students and I were reading a book about a tsunami that took place, and a teenage boy was looking for his family, or something like that. I can't really remember what the name of the book was. I wish I could remember. It was a good book. I think this was for the Wilson Reading Program. One of the students said something and might have stuck his finger up at someone. So I replied with a sarcastic comment like, "Stick that finger where the sun don't shine." And a few of them burst out laughing. I remember one of the male students named Jonathan Dale, who was in the woodshop class like me, had laughed when I said that. Like I was brave for a moment and said it right out of nowhere. I think we had a supply teacher that day. On June 10th, 2012, Mr. Rolando said to Jay Garth, "If there is no trust, there is no love." He also said, "If there is no way, there is no future." He's so right about that, but I truly don't remember why he said this or why I was even listening. But it just made sense to me. How I even remembered these two quotes is beyond me. My favorite time of the year at Panthers United was the Keep Boston Beautiful events, PA days, the holidays, and any time we went on any kind of fun trips. I'm not sure what grade this was, but it was either grade 10 or 11. "Are you going to let me have one of those popsicles because I accepted your friend request on the networking book?" Jenny asked me, but I didn't reply. I only looked at her, and then I just walked off a moment later after she asked me that. I don't even know why I added her in the first place, but I deleted her off my friends list not that long after that. She was sitting with a couple other students on the bench outside of Principal Gates' office when I came in from the grocery store at lunchtime. Because I didn't eat all 4 chocolate popsicles, I asked, "Mrs. Black, can I put these popsicles in the freezer in the staff room and get them after school?" She said, "You can't do that," but she made an exception for me anyway. On June 15, 2012, the Panthers United staff and students went to Beautify Land Park for the bird show. I took pictures of the birds, and an owl was looking at my camera, ready for me to take its picture. "Oh my goodness, it's so cute." The Panthers United art class hosted an art show at the park too. There was so much talent in the school. Dancers, singers, writers, artists, etc. Winterberry Adventure College and a bunch of other vendors were in the park as well. At lunchtime, Panthers United had a Pie the Teacher event in the cafeteria. So some students pied Mrs. Collins and Mrs. Cruiser, Mr. Paul Newmart, English teacher, and Mr. Geisen. They also pied Mrs. Weinstein, Mr. Anderson, and Adrian too. Mr. Turdsicle wanted no part of it. He just kept walking out of the cafe and into the hallway going to his classroom. Elizabeth pied Miss Collins, and Mrs. Weinstein also pied Mrs. Collins as well. I took a bunch of pictures that day. After lunch, I believe some of us went back to the park for a concert after that. I don't remember who played though, and I believe this event was maybe a powwow. The Panthers United Prestige Camp took place in the summer of 2012. It was a great educational and fun program. Some of the adventures we went on that year were Laser Mania adventures, Griffinland Water Park, Black Crystal Park, and altitude high ropes at Franklin Martin University, Rankin Beach, and the Shadowland Speedway. We also went to the community baseball park a few times as well. We also took part in singing and listened to a few other music students singing too. The teacher's name is Carol Flanagan. The students' names are Alcatraz, Myra Lender King, Charlotte May, and Belinda Swanson. Their voices are so beautiful, and I told them that I wish I had a singing voice as beautiful as theirs. And maybe one day I will have a beautiful voice of my own. I did express an interest in taking singing lessons with Carol, the vocal teacher, but I never made it there or followed up because the distance between home and Stony Creek were a bit far from me at the time. But I did ask her about singing lessons, and I remember her telling others about my interest in singing with her at her studio, and she seemed so excited about it. Alcatraz was already one of her students, and I also would have been one of her students if I had followed up, had a bit of money, and maybe found a way to get to her for singing lessons. Anyway, we also stayed at the school, watched movies, hung around outside, and had 2 barbecues. I remember we were watching a movie called Freedom Writers the same day I took the $20 bill, as mentioned 4 paragraphs after this one. We made ice cream sundaes, took part in arts and crafts and jewelry making with beads. We made a pair of earrings, and one of the ladies who was teaching us how to bead was so impressed that she wanted to sell mine in our store, and I should have just given them to her, but I was so proud of them. We also designed art drawings on plates and designed scratch art on old CDs too. I kept all of mine, but I'm unsure of where the earrings are now, but the design on the plate faded. So I got rid of the plate, but I did take a picture of the art on the plate after I designed it at the camp that's at school that day. I could probably show you what the other art looks like. I'm sure Walker, Texas Ranger Walker wouldn't have a problem with that. That's who Mr. Walker is in this story, by the way. I'm not sure if I can use his real name in this novel, so I'm just playing it safe. But I'm sure that everybody who knows of this show or is a fan knows who I'm speaking about. On the plate, I drew a fist, like this. I also wrote 4 of my favorite quotes from the show, as well as the 4 main characters' names from the series onto the plate, which are Cordell Walker, James Trevette, Alex Cahill, and C.D. Parker. These are the quotes. The first one is, "Sometimes things don't turn out the way we want them to. When that happens, you gotta be strong enough to deal with it." The second one is, "Don't mess with Walker, Texas Ranger." The third one is, "You had faith in yourself and courage to make it happen." And finally, "Never worry about what's been done. Concentrate on what needs to be done." Another time during the camp, I was in a classroom where the greenhouse was located, making art and minding my own business. And one of the students named Dolores Suzanne came into the room and walked over to the desk I was at. She was talking to the EA who was working there that day, who had been in the room with me at the time. I don't remember what they were talking about though. But Dolores had dropped a $20 bill and was looking for it. Once she realized that she had lost it, she immediately thought that I had taken it, because I was the only student in the room at the time. I saw it on the floor, picked it up, and put it on the shelf in that classroom. I was going to give it back, but they had already accused me of stealing it, and yes, I did keep it for at least half an hour, but I should have given it back right away. Soon after, she left the room. Then I took the bill off the shelf, put it into my pocket, and went outside after that. I was reading pages in Mr. Walker's book called The Secret Power Within, Zen Solutions to Real Problems. Except, I remember at the time I had borrowed the book from the library, and it was a hardcover, not a soft cover book that I now own today. But I had put the bill into the book at one point and then had taken it back out, putting it into my pocket shortly after that. The students came over to see me and started searching through my stuff. They even looked through the book at the time too, making me lose my page that I was reading. I then went inside the school while they were searching through my stuff, which there wasn't much they could steal, and I wasn't worried about them taking the book because I'm sure half of the students didn't know who Mr. Walker was. I walked over to the flower planter display, and a male student was watching me from the front doors in the main hallway. Eventually, he saw me take the bill out of my pocket and bury the bill in the dirt so they could find it. But as I walked away, he took the money out of the dirt to give back to his friend. In my defense, I should have given it back after I found it, but they already accused me of stealing it, so I tried to take it after that. This was the same day as the trip to the Speedway. I know that I shouldn't have stolen it, but they shouldn't have accused me of stealing it in the first place. But that isn't the only thing or items, devices I had stolen when I was in school. I don't remember if this was everything or if there were more things I had taken. But here are the ones I do remember stealing. I owe a few students an iPod Touch, iPod Nano, iPod Classic, and a PSP. I think it was a PSP 3000, but then again I don't remember if it was a 3000 or 2000. I don't remember which generations the iPods were either, but I'm sure they were the generations before 2013. And yes, as terrible as this sounds, I shouldn't have stolen them, and I don't know why I did that either. Or maybe I just wanted them but couldn't have them and was a little jealous they weren't mine. And I also owe Mrs. Allison at least 10 bus tickets that I stole from her purse, I think. But don't worry, I haven't stolen anything from there or anywhere since 2012. I'm truly sorry I'd stolen those devices from you all back then, but I can't give them back because I don't know where they are now. I wish I could, but I can't. There's nothing I can really do about it now, but one day when I can afford it, I will try to replace them if I can. And if I can, find the students from these classes. First, sewing, cosmetology, and computer communications, and see if they want them replaced. I'm sure they will. I'm not sure who the iPod Nano belonged to though, but the iPod Touch belonged to Gracie. The iPod Classic either belonged to Tyla or Raina Frank, and the PSP belonged to Della. I think the students will know who they are, even though I did not use any of the staff or students' real names in this novel. I stole from my best friend twice, and I shouldn't have stolen from her at all, and I regret it very much. But anyway, back to the Prestige camp. Sometimes Principal Gates would come and visit us. His dog named Reed came to visit one time too. I was sitting on the bench in the main hall, and Mr. Stewart told me Reed once bit his leg and blood gushed out. Principal Gates was standing beside him when he said that. But then again, I wonder why the dog bit him in the first place. I also believe that they were trash talking about me too, and maybe that's why Mr. Stewart was talking about me on the bus ride to the Shadowland Speedway. The last trip we went on was at the Shadowland Speedway. We got to meet the drivers after the race. One of the drivers was an on-call teacher at Panthers United named Mr. Stewart. He was also very judgmental to me, but not as bad as Principal Gates was. But I am sure that's who told Mr. Stewart I was the principal's so-called stalker. One day we were taking a school bus to the Speedway, and he was talking to an educational assistant named Mrs. Lacey Ann about his automotive mechanic shop. I wouldn't even recommend sending my parents to his shop. I've actually told him to stay away. He was a problem teacher as well. Did I mention the male librarian was a problem for me in my last year of high school too? Anyway, Mr. Stewart looked right at me and said something that bothered me. I heard rumors go around in the school that I am the principal's stalker. And Mr. Stewart pretty much told her that I liked Principal Gates and stalk him. And he's afraid that I will stalk him too. Loser. The rumors bothered me for quite some time, and I could never let those rumors go. I knew the truth. I am not a stalker. I have better things to do than be stalking someone. What do you really get out of stalking someone? Nothing, I hope. It would make you miserable all the time. I want to help people, not destroy their lives. There's no point on stalking someone. Just leave them alone. How would you like it if someone stalked you? What would you do? How would you like it if someone followed or stalked you? How would you feel if you're a kid and an adult goes around telling people that you are their stalker? People like that have no business working with children and adults and teenagers or working in schools at all. Anyway, I miss this summer program so much. At the end of the camp program, a few of the students who came every day and did a good job got a gift from the teacher, or CYWs, before the camp ended for the summer. I didn't get a gift, but my friend Kara did. And that's the end of chapter 5. Sorry about all the mess ups. Like, today is just an off day for me. I hope you enjoyed chapter 5. Yeah. Bye.